guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle Saga and I am the crafty chick behind Shell's Beads. Today we're going to be putting the tumblers aside for just a little while and we're going to be delving into a brand new video series that I am calling Handmade Holiday. In this series we will be featuring small DIY projects that are perfect for gift giving, and to kick it off we are going to be doing these beautiful heart trinket dishes that I had so much fun creating. They were inspired by a store that I used to visit as a teenager called Georgetown Cotton, and it was just a beautiful eclectic boutique that had small home decor items, beautiful clothing items like shawls and scarves and even some shirts, and beautiful handmade jewelry pieces. So a lot of the creations in this video series will kind of be inspired by that store, and I hope that you get inspiration to create some unique pieces of your own. A handmade holiday is very close to my heart because I believe in supporting small businesses this time of year, especially during the holidays. So as always, everything that I use to make this project will be listed and linked in the description box below. If you have any questions about any of the steps that we go over, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm very active down there and I'm more than happy to answer the questions. I also have a Facebook community group that I am launching this week, so please make sure to check that out. Once it's live, I will update these videos with a link where you can find that group. I hope we can all come together as a community to share crafting ideas and to just have a lot of fun. So if you guys are ready to get started, let's jump in. To get started with today's project, you're going to need a small trinket dish. I am using a heart-shaped one that I got off of Amazon, and these are fully glazed ceramic trinket dishes. You're also going to need some 91% alcohol, like you see in my little container. I just reuse mine and wipe my brush off on a cotton pad, and it's perfectly fine. I'm going to be taking 3 colors of Tim Holtz Ranger alcohol ink. The first one is Pink Sorbet. And I'm going to be doing a technique that I like to use with really slick surfaces where I load the alcohol ink on my brush. It allows the bristles to absorb some of that alcohol so that we don't have a lot of excess pooling in the bottom of our dish. As you can see here, I'm just dabbing and swiping it on to create a very soft watercolor look. If I need to add more, I just load my brush and keep going. I'm going to move directly into the second color without cleaning my brush because I do want that fade. The second color I will be applying to this dish is Denim, and as you can see, it creates that beautiful soft baby pink to kind of like a soft steel blue. I decided I wanted a little bit more of a transition to this, so I reloaded the brush with some more Pink Sorbet and just kind of went over the middle a little bit. As you can already see, you're going to start to see some reactions where you've placed additional alcohol ink because it's reacting with the layer below it. This is going to give us some really pretty cells and just a lot of interest to this piece that would be hard to achieve any other way. Go ahead and keep loading paint on your brush and dabbing it on in just very small little fashions, just little tiny areas until you get the look that you are after. For this, I literally went in with just the tip of my brush and added dots of the denim and the pink until I was happy with it. After cleaning your brush off really well in between colors, we are going to move on to the second dish. This one is going to have a warmer tone to it, so I'm taking Dijon alcohol ink, and this will be my dominant color for this one. I loved the beautiful rustic kind of gold look that it gave, and all 3 of these colors are very, very popular this season, so I felt like they worked really well together. Now I'm going to come in with that Pink Sorbet again, and I am going to go over the other corner. As you can see, because I did not clean the brush off, it gives us almost a beautiful salmon color as a transition. As I wanted more pink, I kept loading my brush with just the Pink Sorbet, and it blended those 2 colors together perfectly. We are using the same technique we used on the first dish, we're just using different colors. I am also kind of changing up my placement just a little bit to make sure that I kind of have a more overall effect instead of blocks of color. I also load a couple colors at a time to do some blending right on the brush. As you can see, the cells that I got on this one were just incredible. I decided to also add just a little hint of that denim blue to this one because I felt like that little corner up there really needed something to tie this all in. This was definitely by far one of my favorite effects that I got during this project. And as you can see, it really does create such a unique look. You could try this with any color combination, and so just experiment until you get a feel of something that you would like. Alcohol ink dries very quickly, so we will be able to move on to the resin step in just a few minutes. For this, you're going to need to mix about 10 milliliters of your favorite epoxy. I am using Tumbler coating epoxy from the Epoxy resin store. Now, I ended up mixing up 20 milliliters, but you really don't need that. If you'd like to pop any air bubbles in your little container, go ahead and hit it with a torch or spritz it with a little alcohol. Now we are going to be adding about 5 to 6 decent size flakes of gold leaf. And through the process of mixing, we will be breaking that up into much smaller particles that will be perfect for laying across the bottom of the dish. Once we have that all incorporated, we are going to start scooping out small amounts of this foil mixture into the bottom of each dish. Keep in mind, this is just a first layer of resin. We will be adding more layers, so I go a little bit thinner than I normally would if I was just trying to fill up a cavity. Also keep in mind that this gold foil might stick up slightly from your resin coating, but because we will be adding more resin later, it's not anything to worry about. To get a nice even coating, I use that contour edge of the dish where I last have alcohol ink paint, and I kind of push my stir stick up against that just to make sure that I have a nice even coating all over the bottom of the dish. Once we have the bottoms coated to our liking, we are going to go ahead and kind of just level this out. I tap these against my table, and I also run a torch over them to pop any little air bubbles that might be present. You're going to want to have your heart measured out so that we can move on to the next step of creating a decal. For this, I chose one of my blank heart dishes and a flexible tape measure, and I got about 1¼ inches wide by 1 inch high. We are going to plug those measurements into Cricut Design Space once we have chosen our decal. For this, I just went into the Images tab in Cricut Design Space and typed in the word heart. I did find this heart. It was several pages down though, so I do have the number of it listed below so that you can just type it in and move quickly. I resized it to make sure that it would fit in the bottom of my dish, and then I duplicated it twice. I'm going to take those 2 duplicates and layer them so that I can have an interlocking heart decal to use for one of the dishes. To make it interlocking, you're going to highlight both, come down to weld, and it'll make sure any of those overlapping lines are now one solid image. Click Make It, and once you have your vinyl up, you can choose whatever material you would like. Today, I'm going to be using premium vinyl from the Vinyl People in Champagne Toast. Go ahead and cut it out, and we are ready to put our decals on our cured dishes. Make sure your resin has set for about 12 to 18 hours before moving on to this step. Go ahead and take a 320 grit sanding disc and just sand down any really rough bits that are sticking up so that that doesn't convey into your decal. I load mine on transfer tape, and I'm ready to place the first decal. I chose the single heart for the pink and blue dish because I felt like it was a lighter kind of shade and tone and would look really nice as an accent. After placing it, it can be a little hard to remove the transfer tape because there is a curve on this dish, but it won't harm the design, so just kind of work at it. I also cut my transfer tape a little bit larger so I do have that little lip to grab onto as I'm trying to remove the tape. Repeat the process for the next dish, only because this is a double decal, I went ahead and centered it more into the middle of the design and repeated the process to remove the transfer tape. With our decals in place, we are ready to move on to our final layer of epoxy. You may need to add another final layer after this one if you're not satisfied with how it looks and feels, but for me, this was my final coat. I mixed up 10 milliliters of my Tumbler coating epoxy, and I'm just trying to evenly divide it up between these dishes. Because I don't have any gold foil particles in this layer, I can just dump it directly into the bottom of the dish. I'm gonna come in with my stir stick and use that to coax the resin to the edges. I do this so that I can have a more even coat and ensure that the epoxy isn't gonna pool in any one area. Continue adding little bits of epoxy and tamping down your dish until you get the depth that you desire. I try to keep this layer deep enough to cover all of our decals and any bits of foil, but also shallow enough that we still have a decent depth to our dish so that you can put change, jewelry, and other small items in there. Keep in mind these dishes are not food safe now that we have added this epoxy. And also please keep in mind that I am working in a well ventilated area. I have an organic vapor mask on and proper PPE like gloves. You just want to make sure that you are not handling this resin with bare hands or without having some kind of respirator protection. Let your pieces cure for 24 hours and you now have a beautiful handmade trinket dish that is going to look absolutely lovely wherever you place it. I know that you guys are going to have a blast creating this project because there are so many ways that you can personalize it and really make it your own. You could add tons of different types of decals, even names or monograms, so they would be absolutely perfect for gift giving. If you like this project, please subscribe to my channel, hit that bell button so you never miss a minute of the fun. Make sure to like and comment. I love seeing and hearing from you guys. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much for all of your support of my channel. You guys inspire me to create every single day. If you'd like to catch my last video, you can click on it right here. And as always, guys, have a blast and stay creative.